Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar wondering how cool edgelord content still is these days. Now, this stuff kind of always happens when I'm away from the internet, like when I go out and do something else and sort of stay away from the computer, something like that, or just don't go signing on to YouTube here and there. And I always miss the good fucking things. Now, apparently, a lot of people have sent me a fucking, like, this stream clip, the stream archive. Some of you all may know what I'm talking about. Obviously, it's a little known stream clip that's been floating around the interwebs as of late. Basically, the biggest channel here, PewDiePie, started to live stream on YouTube. Don't worry, I'm live streaming too. It's kind of a happy coincidence. Now, as these live streams commenced, apparently he streams around morning hour time here in North America, and it seems like he was playing a game of PlayerUnknown's Battleground. Now, it's a game that I can get off to too. I've streamed it a couple times. I have a video up on my channel, a little stream highlight of it, and I play it here and there with my friends. It's a really fun game, and I like it. Now he plays it, and he was on a bridge. He was fighting off against people trying to cross said bridge, apparently, and it seems like he dropped a hard N bomb. The hard N word was dropped, and it seems like it set some of the internet ablaze. Now, of course, if I apply the further investigative journalism that amazing areas such as Polygon, BuzzFeed, Kotaku never apply, is that it was more of a heat-of-the-moment type thing. Although it is a weird heat-of-the-moment type thing, let me tell you, I play these shooters as well. I play some Rainbow Six Siege, and in all my time playing with people and other people, I've never dropped a racial slur. I usually just say fuck really loudly, but again, that might just be me. You know, if I get really tilted while playing a game. But again, I'm not the type to really get tilted playing. Actually, that's a fucking lie. I get pretty pissed if I'm playing a ranked game and some douchebag is pulling some fucking retarded move that I don't understand. But anyways, my quirp aside, the N-word was dropped by the biggest channel on YouTube during a live stream. Now, of course, the individual apologized after it, and it was definitely one of those heat-of-the-moment type things. But it's one of those things that I'm not here to basically suck off or grope the dick of any other side. I think everybody here involved is wrong. We'll get to the other side in particular. I think if you're the biggest channel on YouTube, you have some form of a standard to keep up to, and frankly, I think if you've been making videos this long, or if you've been streaming, I think it's just one of those weird words that you shouldn't say. I mean, I'm not here to be Mr. SJW, y'all free, don't say naughty words, I just think in the end it's one of those things you kind of keep to yourself out of respect, in case you have any viewer that could get offended out of, hearing the word. You might not get offended, and to some people it's just a word, but you have to remember, to some people it's more than just a word, and I think in that regard that's where it really goes to an extent. I don't think he's really a closet racist or anything like that, but you think after the whole kill all the Jews incident, you might want to cater down on a little bit of the edgelord stuff and keep it to yourself in case, because even then that thing's not blown over. In fact, that's affected YouTube entirely after pulling that little stunt off, but that's a whole nother story right over there. Now, it seems like the creator behind Firewatch, one of those walking simulators, I played it for about 2 hours, got bored the fuck out, and played Siege instead. I'm kidding. It's not that bad of a game. It's actually, it's a pretty interesting storyline, everything to it. I just don't really play walking simulators all that often. I tend to stick to a main group of games, and that's about it. But it's one of those games where you walk around, it's got an interesting story, you uncover new interesting things, and it's a fun little harmless game. Now, the developer behind it apparently decided to launch some DMCA strikes and actually wants to keep pushing the idea of DMCA striking the Firewatch videos currently on PewDiePie's channel, just because they don't exactly agree with the N-word being dropped on the stream. Now, it's all up to you whether you find that to be right or wrong. I don't think I have to tell you what to believe, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not fucking one of these journalist sites, all right? Believe what you want to believe, think what you want to think, all right? If you think it's wrong, you think it's wrong. If you think it's right, you think it's right. Stick to your guns. God bless you. But apparently the Firewatch developer was having a no-no today and said, we're not gonna, I don't really like it. I'm sick and tired of this man-child making money off of the video games and that I make and all that good stuff. And they decided to launch some DMCA strikes, all the while telling the other, gaming-friendly buddies of his, the guys who make video games, you should DMCA strike too. Now, I'm not saying, PewDiePie's in the right over here for saying that word. I think it should have been something that, while he is apologetic for, I think if you're on the internet for this long, you should kind of know how to stream or record, general etiquette and things to watch out for. But regardless, what I am really pissed about is the blatant abuse of the DMCA striking system taking in place, and the fact that YouTube, again, doesn't really give a fuck. Why the fuck am I mentioning it? Okay, YouTube doesn't care. All right, what does YouTube care about? Okay, fucking nothing, all right? It's robots running it, okay? Robots are going to do what they want to do, all right? The little script monkeys running this site, they got it, all right? There's no human. Why am I talking to YouTube? Okay, I might as well just be talking to a fucking brick wall, which I kind of am, to be honest. But anyways, the Firewatch developer wanted to launch some DMCA strikes, and what I'm really against about this is the fact that this individual wasn't there when the whole Kill All the Jews controversy had happened from PewDiePie's channel. In fact, when that had occurred, I did not hear a single peep out of game developers entirely. Nobody launched DMCA strikes. It's just that the morning that this happened, about instantly after, the Firewatch developer went out of their way to launch this kind of a thing. Look, I think if you're going to get offended over the N-word, you should have equally gotten offended over the Kill All the Jews thing. Look, all right, what's really racist is that motherfucker, okay, putting one over the other, okay? If you got offended at the tiniest thing, look, if he says kill all the Jews or nuke all the North Korean didgeridoos or the N-words, then guess what? Okay, maybe you should be mad at all of them, all right? Because they're all pretty offensive, okay, to certain people. You can't keep fucking playing favorites. But that's not even it, okay? Whether you believe it's right or wrong is up to you. But DMCA claiming videos that have no relationship to a stream that happened a long time ago apart is something that is, again, a blatant abuse of the system. Look, we can talk about fair use in video games and Let's Plays all we want, and that's a topic that hasn't even been fought legally, and maybe it might be fought legally one day, but today is not the day. That's not the topic of the video. The topic of the video is the idea of necessarily attacking videos with these false DMCA claims. For those of you who don't know, a DMCA claim to any YouTube channel, no matter how small, no matter how large they are, is a scary thing. You know, if you had a channel the size of PewDiePie, you've received 3 copyright notifications, for example, 3 strikes, and at that point your channel's put into the 7-day time bomb state where it's going to go out unless one of those strikes get disputed. The success rate of disputing a copyright strike on YouTube is almost fucking non-existent, to be honest. All right, it's one of those things where you're going to be sitting there stressed out of your fucking mind. All right, and bam, after 7 days, the entire legacy's built up is fucking gone. And that goes same for no matter what YouTube channel you are. YouTube themselves can be struck by their own copyright community bots and be taken out instantaneously. It's goddamn scary with how this works, all right? And that's just the system that YouTube's had to keep ever since its inception to fight against, you know, anybody using its platform for unfair use type gains. So, regardless, these videos were made a long time ago. The Firewatch developer received a lot of exposure through these, more than they would gain through, I would say, traditionally advertising the game. You know, these videos have over 5 million views on them on that one channel alone. Not to mention the fact all the other Let's Plays done on the game, all the other people giving Firewatch its exposure. There were obviously sales made from the YouTube platform entirely, and there's no way the Firewatch developer can say that without YouTube, there was not a significant chunk of revenue given because of it, alright? Obviously, YouTube provided a significant source of advertising for the game. Somewhat, it would be the whole form of advertising for the game anyways, and that's how a lot of the fare works over here anyways. That's just how advertising stuff works. And any other developer that seems to want to follow suit is just shooting themselves in the foot, because I think ultimately what both parties here have done wrong is kind of assume that all good exposure is good, all exposure is good exposure, it's not, and all bad exposure can even be good exposure no matter what. All exposure is good, and that's not necessarily the case. Look, if you're a developer and you start DMCA claiming a lot of people on YouTube, for example, if Activision came out of nowhere and started striking every Destiny 2 player, then that exposure would be bad exposure. It would prevent anybody from making videos on the game if they make YouTube their livelihood. In fact, even if you don't make YouTube your livelihood, knowing that you're getting a copyright strike regardless of anything, and getting a strike on your channel for about 3 months is something nobody's going to do. And overnight, that exposure dies out. So you got that bad exposure turning into no exposure at that point. And if, say, you're the Firewatch developer and you're making, I don't know, say an indie game like No Man's Sky, for example, and you start pulling this shit off, then your exposure has gone down the drain. People won't even cover you for being bad. They won't cover you at all out of threat of what you're doing, out of the abuse of the DMCA system. And that's where I think you fall entirely. And it's just something that if you think is going to get you any form of exposure, it's not. It's something that's going to hit you way harder than anything at all. And if you're going to try to have a moral stance against something, then you should have had it when it had happened, when it had initially happened, the initial peak of it. You shouldn't have stayed quiet and away from the issue because you were scared it was going to backlash onto you. And now at this point, the idea has backlashed onto you, and I would argue a much worse way. So in the end, you got one person saying a word that they really shouldn't have said on a stream, and I get it was a heat of the moment thing and there were apologies afterwards, but in the end, you know, it's one of those things where you just have to be more careful about things and you have to really watch yourself. And Again, I argue even from a Freudian slip terms of view, it's kind of a weird thing to just yell out in the middle of rage. It's like one of those things where it's like underlying, maybe? I don't know. But I'm not here to make that an entire thing. I'm not some armchair psychologist sitting in front of my computer or anything like that. No, 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 no. But you got the other person over here who are launching false DMCA claims. And if you're any developer that's going out of their way to use the copyright strike illegitimately on the site, you should probably fuck the hell off, because at the end of the day, you're the type of cancer that's killing anything. In fact, if you're the type of person to falsely DMCA claim anybody, you're essentially a cancer that's killing this platform as a whole. You are the reason why this platform's head down to somewhat of a shitter, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't think I really need to cover this topic more than I already have. I think everybody said their piece. I think both sides are to really blame over here. And what's really the issue over here, I think, is the blatant abuse of the DMCA system kicking off. So anybody who's thinking of buying Firewatch might want to give it a second chance. At the end of the day, if you're trusting a person who really leaves their politics into their real life stuff, or their business, if anything, or is a person that's just somewhat passionate for the wrong fucking reasons, and somebody who should have been passionate when shit really hit the fan months ago. I think that's something that should have happened. It's one of those really shady things that I can't overlook. But that being said, this is the whole Firewatch and N-word controversy topped around. I leave the internet for like 2 days and this shit happens. But shit did happen, and frankly, I would consider those videos to be very family friendly considering YouTube's fucked up system at this moment in time. So yeah, let me know what you think about it. If you like what you like, dislike it if you dislike it. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments section below. This is me, Mudahar, and this is another advertiser unfriendly, family unfriendly video. I am out.